This business?
Well, at a very young age, I figured out that I couldn't play. So since I couldn't play, I thought, now what would be a great job and still be involved in sports? And I saw the great Curt Gowdy. And the legendary Curt Gowdy broadcast the World Series. He broadcast the Super Bowl. And I think people forget he broadcast the Final Four with Billy Packer for many years. I thought, wow, baseball, football, basketball. That guy has the life. I like that. So when I went to college, I decided to go into broadcasting, and then after that, you just start getting lucky and getting a series of breaks. And I was lucky early in my career, and I got hooked in with Penn State basketball when I was 24 years of age, and now it's my 25th season coming up for them. I got hooked in Penn State football as the third announcer the very next year at the age of 25, and worked with the greatest mentor I could ask to work with, Gil Santos, who now does the New England Patriots. And Gil, for 4 years, my first 4 years on the football network, was the play-by-play announcer. And he would take my high school football tapes, and he would go over them and tell me, hey, that's good, try this angle here, try that. Right, and as time went along, he helped make me get a little bit better. I don't know how much better I really was able to get, but he was a perfect mentor for me to have. And now, of course, he's the play-by-play voice of the Patriots, and the entire country knows how great he is. And he helped me out tremendously. And I think when I broadcast Penn State football, I think there's a little bit of him in me.
Shane Conlan, did your paths cross with his?
Yeah, sure did. In fact, I saw Shane. Shane was with us Friday night in the pregame show, along with DJ Dozier. Shane Conlan, I was the third announcer on the Penn State Sports Network that year, and I filled in a couple times as the color analyst that year. So I was at all of Shane's games. Actually, I was at all of Shane's games because he played, he redshirted in '82, he played in '83, '84, '85, and '86. So those were my first 4 years on the Penn State Sports Network, where I was the pregame, halftime, postgame host, and I traveled. I was the one who did the pregame show with Joe, did the postgame show with Joe, with the players. So I was around Shane all the time. One of the truly great linebackers Penn State's ever had, because not only could he play the run, he understood how to play the pass, the proper pass drop to make a quarterback get nervous. He was a leader in every sense of the word. And when you look at the Fiesta Bowl game, now this is the 20th anniversary of Penn State's national championship season. And in that national championship game against Miami, the Canes in the third quarter drove down to the Penn State 25-yard line and were threatening. Shane stepped in front of a pass intended for Highsmith, picked it off, stumbled, fell to the ground, because I think he would have gone a long way if he hadn't stumbled. But then in the fourth quarter, Penn State's down 10-7, and Testaverde threw one over the middle. Conlan picked it off at the 50-yard line, and he ran it back to the 6. And then 2 plays later, DJ Dozier took it home. Penn State led 14-10, and then had to hold off Miami with that memorable stand inside the 10-yard line. Conlan, I would say that Jack Ham, Shane Conlan, and Paul Posluszny, and you pick the order that your preference, would be the best linebacker Penn State's ever had. And what was neat was that Conlan, Shane Conlan, and Jack Ham gave Paul Posluszny a lot of great advice about what to do with the NFL draft. Now, it turns out that Jack and Shane live in the same hometown now. They both live in Sewickley. As Shane says, he's at the bottom of the hill, and Jack's at the top of the hill. And I said to Shane the other night, I said, so if Jack's having sewage problems, it ends up in your yard. But he's one of the best, and not only what makes Shane great is Shane's loyal, really loyal, and understands the concept of loyalty. And Jack Ham's the same way.
Well, in our neck of the woods here, Frewsburg, Shane walks on water.
Yeah, but here's the other part. Shane Conlan was not a highly recruited guy. That's why these recruiting experts drive me up the wall. These guys that Shane Conlan, Penn State looked at him and said he can play.
Right.
All right.
What about Steve Jones? Where does he want to go next?
I'm doing exactly what I want. I think in everybody in a given profession has what they consider to be the top job in that given profession. And I think in my profession, a lot of people would say it's ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBC, something like that. But I've always considered, from my personal point of view, the Penn State football and basketball jobs to be the top jobs. That's the ones I've always wanted. So I don't have any desire to leave those, because I think I'm exactly where I should be right now and where I want to be in the future. State College is a great place to raise a family. Penn State's been very good to me, and to me, a football Saturday at Penn State or a basketball weekend at Penn State, to me, is about as much fun as it gets in this business.
Well, and you being the #1 guy, When did you become the #1 guy?
2000.
2000.
2000. 1982 for basketball and 2000 for football.
Was there any question? I mean, it's just a matter of succession and.
Well, no, there was questions. It opened up in '94, and I know I was mentioned. It opened up in '97. It seemed like it was opening in '97, and it looked like I was right on the doorstep. But then the person who had been doing it, Fran Fisher, one of the legendary figures for Penn State, decided, I'll try 3 more years. And so I decided that I wanted to hang in 3 more years just to see, because I knew I was in the neighborhood. And I was fortunate.
Right.
This time I broke through, and I've had a blast with it, and couldn't handpick a better person to work with than Jack Ham, and can't handpick a better guy to work around than Joe, or in basketball, Ed DeChellis, who's been tremendous to me.
Reflect back on 25 years of Penn State football. We certainly talked about the 3 linebackers, but are there a few names which just jump out and say, I can't believe those 3 or 4 or 5 players were. I got to call their numbers.
Oh, Larry Johnson, yeah. Kansas City Chiefs, his senior season. I mean, people don't realize that he gained over 2,000 yards his senior season. He gained 1,000 yards in the last month. The last month of the season. He broke the single game record 3 times that year at Penn State. Record that had been held since 1981. He broke it 3 times in 1 year. So he certainly won. Kerry Collins, tremendous. Kijana Carter, Bobby Ingram, Paul Posluszny. I mean, those are all guys. LeVar Arrington, that you're around them. Shane Conlan, who's just incredible. DJ Dozier, Kurt Warner, Todd Blackledge. I mean, the list goes on and on. I feel like it's been a privilege to, in some small way, document the great feats that they've performed in front of so many people.
Is there a name we would never know, but he was the walk-on, the 3rd stringer that all of a sudden had the game of the career? I'm thinking of the kind of the Notre Dame type story.
Rudy,
yes, thank you.
Boy. Jeez, that's a great question. Wow. Billy Packard told me once, you always have to ask somebody a question that's never been asked before. And you've just done that.
I'm honored.
No, it's somebody who's never. Let's see. We're just out of nowhere, and you watch the game. You said, "Wow."
You had to check your depth chart one more time and say, "Where was?"
I know who. I know who. Rose Bowl, 1995. Penn State had a safety named Chuck Penzinik, who barely played all year. Had 2 interceptions in the game, in the Rose Bowl game. Chuck Penzinik in the Rose Bowl game, right? Let's see, and then on the flip side of it for basketball, one time we had a big game against in the '80s. I think it was St. Joe's, and a guy named Terry Graves had 31 points. He'd never done anything in any other game. I don't think he was in double figures in any other game in his career.
As we work our way here to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Brad Furnish has given up just 1 hit so far. He's been betrayed by a couple of walks and a couple of errors to this point. That's why he's down 3-2 in this ball game. And here's the pitch to the Coghlan, lefty on lefty, and that ball is down low in the dirt. He kicks and deals, and that is lined on the ground in the hole in the left field for a base hit. Coghlan will make the turn at first, and he'll hold up there, and a leadoff single for Jamestown. The 2nd time in the first 3 innings they've had the leadoff man aboard, and here comes John Rain on the ground, picked up by Solano. He has 1 play to first. He makes that play, and moving to second is Coghlan. So one gone, but a runner in scoring position for Jamestown here in the 3rd inning. 1st and 1 in the 2nd. They've out-hit Jamestown 5-2, but they're down 1 on the board. 3-2. Now Gonzalez gives the sign. Coghlan now gets his lead at second. Shading is Schweitzer. The pitch by Furnish, hit in the air, left center field gap. Over goes Rappaport, reels it in, tagging is Coghlan. Here's the throw to third. Not in time, and a head first slide by Coghlan to get himself to third base. Good piece of base running that time by Coghlan. 2 gone here in the. Also moved him up to 5th in the order. That's hit in the air, right field down the line. It's going to be a foul ball. Gorsett chases and makes the catch in foul territory to end the inning. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We have played 3 full. 3-2 Jammers on the Spikes Radio Network.